All right. Hello, everybody. On May 9th, this lovely Tuesday for me, it's early afternoon. I'm not sure for everyone else. Sandra, I think it's still morning for you. But welcome, everyone. We are excited to dive in. We'll just go around the room for those of you who have not joined us before. Just give a quick intro to who we are and what we're doing here. Hi, I'm Raquel, and I'm a customer success manager here at Triple Whale. My goal is to make sure that our customers are really getting the most value out of this platform. So I'm here to help for it. So who would like to go next? All right, Alejandro.
Me? All right. Hi, I'm Alejandro. I'm an e-commerce strategist here at Triple Whale, and I help clients scale using Triple Whale data. Pretty much it.
And I'm Sonder. Do the same thing that Alejandro does.
But bigger.
But bigger. There we go. So for those of you who have never joined us today, feel absolutely free to pop your questions into the question chat. We do have a few great questions that some people have shared with us prior to this call. So we're going to start off with those. And I wonder, actually, is Brian here? It doesn't look like he is, but let's actually start with Brian's question. So let me just put this actually in the chat so that we can, track it all and that fun stuff. Okay. So I'm turning on direct mail campaigns and want to make sure I set up correctly for attribution. So guys, I think what he's asking, and let's assume it's Klaviyo for a second here, right? That would be direct mail. Am I correct?
No, this would be Postpilot.
Okay.
Or like mailers that come in like your mailbox.
Oh, like physical mail, like snail mail.
Yeah, direct mail.
Okay, gotcha. There's email and there's snail mail. So how would we make sure, from an attribution perspective, that people are able to track that? My guess here is the only way to really do that is through post-purchase survey, but you guys tell me if I'm wrong here.
There is another way.
There are ways. QR
there's
codes.
Another way. So enlighten me, because I have no idea.
Sonder?
So I'll let Alejandro, I won't take that point. You can touch on that. The way I like to measure direct mail is through promo codes. And so what you could actually do is leverage it in Affluencer Hub. So you could put your direct mail campaign, attach it to whatever that discount or promo code is. And that's how I would best track it in Triple Whale.
Smart. Very, very smart.
Well, Alejandro, you mentioned QR codes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Pretty much the same thing, but I'd just put a QR code on the actual piece. But actually, when I was working in D2C, we actually did the promo code strategy, and it worked fine. You could track it really easily through a promo code and just put that in the Affluencer Hub. I think that would be the easiest way.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad you guys knew the answer, because that was definitely a learning moment for me. So appreciate your brains. All right. I'm done answering this one. All right. That was question number 1. I see someone mentioned something in the chat. Hold on. Brian, whose question it was, I will be using promo codes. However, I would like to be able to see the specific landing page. Is there a way we can do that?
Yeah, you could do that with the headless code. So if you put if you go to kb.triplewhale.com, that will take you to our knowledge base. Just type in headless, and then that will get you the landing page that you're running to, assuming you're creating it on a subdomain or using like a Shogun or Replo or something like that. I guess Replo would be on your own domain, so you'd have tracking there. But yeah, adding the headless code will then allow you to see the what landing page they're hitting. Oh, okay. Setting up as a vanity URL with, I see what you're saying.
I know, because I came across this recently with another customer. When it does come to redirects, and this is something that, Brian, your dev team will need to ensure, you just need to make sure that any UTM that is being put anywhere if there is some sort of a UTM. I don't know if there would be, given that it's coming through snail mail. But if there is, you would need to make sure that those UTMs do kind of like get passed over to the redirect. I don't know how to do that from a developer's perspective. I just know that's what our developers have told us. So just make sure that you're squared away if that is applicable.
Yeah, just put it on whatever that splash page is. Because assuming, well, it needs to be on the splash page and it needs to fire before the redirect goes through. So even if it's like, a 1 second or 2 second, just make sure the code is firing before it redirects.
Okay. You're so welcome, Brian. All right. Rory asked a great question, and we actually have two very similar questions, specifically regarding segmentation. So let me just paste this in here. All right, let's start this live answer. So I'd like to learn how to segment out tagged order data, whether it's donation or wholesale, on my PIN dashboard. That is a great question. So let me actually open up Madison Braids and we can dive into that. Unless one of you wants to run this. I'm happy to dive into it though.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to do it, honestly. I remember the ad segmentation, but I don't know how to do it on the tagged orders. So
there we go. Okay, so I get to teach you something for once.
Woo-woo.
This is exciting. This is very exciting. Hold on, let me get this going. Okay. Cool. All right. So if we are interested in setting up on the summary page specifically any segmented metrics, there are actually a few ways that we can do this. So number one is, let's say you want to just be able to see those metrics in one place, and that's kind of always just going to be there. We're actually going to go into the gear setting over here, and we're actually going to create section. So let's just say I'm going to do it, order tags, and let's see what we have. So there's kind of a few different use cases for this. So this is just one of the ways that you can utilize this, but let's say you wanted to see like certain metrics in one place, you could also do that utilizing this. So depending on whatever, segments you actually have set up, we're pulling this 100% from order tags. So that is something that you do need to make sure is set up. So as long as all orders are tagged, we will be able to pull them in. It will always be under sales by segment metrics. If you're not seeing the segment that is here, I would say add segment and just search for it. And I would search for it based on the order tag name if it's not being pulled in here for some reason. So I'm just gonna, pull a few of these just to be able to kind of show you guys what it looks like. There's no point of sale here. Web. Obviously, these different tags are going to look a little bit different based on however you have, your situation set up. But what you'll then be able to do, and obviously you can, name it whatever you want to name it, but you can actually see these as, a different section on your dashboard now. So that is number one, actually, of what you can do. So number two is if you actually wanted to segment them out of your data, we would actually want to go to, hold on, here we go. We want to go to store. And once we go to store, we want to play with this little upside down pyramid over here. It's called filter by segment, right? So we do have a few that are created here. What you want to do is actually create a new segment. And let's just call it testing 1, 2, 3. Obviously, name it whatever you like, right? And specifically, there are two ways that you can utilize this. You can utilize this based on the source name, or you can do order tag name. Now, based on your question, I believe you want to be utilizing order tag name, right? So we want to go order tag name, and we can go equals, does not equal to, contains, or does not contain. And then the other thing we need to do here, and I know this was one of them. As you see, you actually have to wait for the drop down, although it's on the top, for this to actually populate, right? You can't just type something in because we have to understand, okay, what's the actual tag that's being utilized, right? So let's just say it was point of sale, for example. And let's say we want to do does not equal. So we want to actually segment this out, right? So we would save and apply. In this case, I believe there are no actual point of sales because I don't believe Madison Braid has like a brick and mortar. So obviously the numbers did not change, right? But in the event that, there was a brick and mortar store, all of the metrics here would change. But not only are they going to, change where it says store, but any metric that is being calculated across the entire summary page that utilizes any type of Shopify data, which is many things on our summary page, it is going to actually filter that data out. So that is how you would be able to filter certain things out. Taking it to another level, if we're just talking about segmentation here, right? Let's say we also wanted to specifically segment and be able to actually see information based on what's going on across the paid channel. So if we do, I don't know, a great example is, let's say we only want to see US, right? So we can go based on campaign name, ad set name, ad name, campaign ID, ad set ID, or ad ID. We could again go contains or does not contains. And let's just say it was US, if it's not the the naming conventions that they utilize here. Again, you would have to wait for that like drop down to show up, actually select it, and then you would be able to save and apply. Once you do save and apply, you will actually see that data reflected in the pixel pages. Whenever you do set up any sort of segment across the summary page, you will now see this little orange dot, and this is letting you know that metrics are currently being filtered. Now, I know where I have them set up, but let's say you're not sure, okay, where did that actual filter, where's that living, right? You're going to look again on each section to see, okay, who actually has this little orange dot hanging out. And then you could shut it off. And now, as you see, it went away. So I hope that answers your question. Any questions from YouTube?
Great job. That's pretty slick.
It is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have one more question from the, let me ask one more question. We have one more question from those who signed up prior, and then we will, Veronica, dive into your questions. So the question is from Jessica, and Jessica wants to know, how do we segment orders out of net and profit margin from Shopify? I'm not sure we can do this, actually. Do either of you know?
Out of net.
I would think.
I have created, for most of my clients, I create like a contribution margin. So I'll
utilizing
look at
custom metric.
Yeah. So I'll look at like a contribution margin is going to be new customer AOV minus variable expenses minus new customer CPA.
So let's go new customer.
So unfortunately, you're going to have to create all of those. Oh, okay, that one's in there. Good.
It looks like someone already created it. So
Okay,
that's cool.
So to calculate new customer AOV, all you need to do is divide new customer revenue by new customer orders. So that's how you would create that custom metric to then get this.
So just to walk through it, metric, you said minus? Or you said divided?
Yep, divided.
Just kidding. There we go.
So yeah, do new customer revenue.
There we go. Divided by, you said it was what?
New customer orders.
I obviously cannot spell this morning. Okay. And this was new customer ROAS? No.
Oh,
AOV.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Okay. So here we go. So
since that's already saved, do NC AOV. Because there just was that, just so it's different.
Gotcha. I'm going to put it into order tags just so that we can see it, because order tags is currently sitting at the top.
Okay, perfect.
Cool. So now we want to create a second metric on top of that, it seems.
Yep. So we'll want to do a variable expenses.
So this plus this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So it's going to be COGS plus, and this is where it will just depend on your business. So for some people, shipping is a cost center. For other businesses, shipping isn't a cost center. So if it is a cost center, then I would include it here. So then do plus shipping. And then I'm trying to figure out, one sec. I'm looking at one of the setups. The other one, I believe the other one I had was handling. Yeah, handling fees. So do, yeah, plus handling fees. And then one more, sorry, do plus gateway or payment gateways, I think is what it is.
There we go. Okay, now apply.
Yep, then do apply.
Put into order tag again. All right.
Okay, and then
so now not only are we going to show you, how to actually calculate this, but we're also giving a really great demonstration on the capabilities of our no custom metric, our no code metric builder, our no custom metric builder.
Okay, so for this one, then this is going to be variable expenses per order. So you could technically add it to the one previous if you don't care what your variable expenses are as an FYI, but I think it's better to do it this way. So then just do metric divided by metric. So yeah, so this will be then variable expenses. Perfect. Divided by just orders. Perfect.
Okay. Oh, the question I forgot to ask you, do we want to see all of these as dollar amounts?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Okay, so cool. Then, so now we can create our contribution margin, our new customer contribution margin. So, yeah, create another one.
You said contribution margin?
I call this NCCM, so new customer contribution margin.
Oh, NCCM. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, so then we'll go metric minus metric minus metric. Sweet. So then the first one's going to be that NCAOV that we created.
I think it was this one.
And then we're going to minus our contribution margin. Or sorry, not that one.
What did we call it?
I don't know. It was the per order.
We look for order tags, I think.
You should have a my metrics. Yeah, my custom metrics in here.
It wasn't NCAOB, was it?
No, that's the first one you have. It was the contribution margin divided by, or yeah.
You want me to X out of this?
Sorry, I'm saying the wrong thing. Variable expenses per order. Sorry, yeah, do that one you have right there.
There we go.
I was jumping to what this one's called.
You're just so excited about this custom metric. It's okay.
Forgive me. And then yeah, this one is going to be your new customer CPA.
Okay.
And this one you don't need to create a custom metric. It's built into yeah, you have to type out new customer.
Yeah. Here we go.
Perfect.
Okay.
Cool. Done. So yeah, scroll up. What did you name this one?
NCCM.
Okay, perfect.
Apply. So actually, let me clean this up for a sec. And just get rid of all of these tags. Just so that we have it. Submit.
Oh, nice.
There we go. Obviously, no longer order tags, but there we go. All right, so now we have that new customer AOV, right? The variable expenses per order, and now this NCCM. What are we doing with this, Sander?
So what this is telling me right now is essentially we're losing $16 on every new customer that comes in. Now that's based only on variable expenses. So this isn't including any fixed expenses. So if you're looking at overhead, salaries, any benefits, any of those types of things, like obviously this wouldn't be included in that.
Would we want to look at a larger segment
Yeah.
of time, maybe?
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily matter, but yeah, same day is always typically going to be lower. So
Only gets worse.
only gets worse. And I should be clear, this should be, I guess technically, this is NCCM per order is what this one is.
There we go. So then if you're looking at this number, and as we see here, it's in the negative, what would one want to do to like try to get this to the positive?
Well, you either have to decrease your expenses, or you need to decrease your acquisition costs. So those are kind of the two things. Now, some of you might be looking at like a 60-day or 90-day LTV because you have, let's say, 120 days of float, with credit cards and how you're more or less doing that. There's a lot of like zero cash flow conversion cycles that you can do. So if you're doing that, then maybe, I don't know, that always feels like you're kind of playing with like the devil's money, for like a lack of better term. Just because you're over leveraging yourself, right? Like 90 days out or 120 days out. So it can get a little intense. And you're the business owner, so do what's best for your business. So yeah, I think it's either you have an LTV that can justify you losing $31 per new customer that comes in, or you don't, and so you need to cut costs and figure it out, type of thing. So it's to me like a better ratio to look at that is more sophisticated on top of ROAS. So to me, like ROAS is kind of like your elementary school. This kind of feels like more like your college type metric.
Gotcha. I like that analogy. It's a good one. All right. Thank you, Sonder. Wait, I need to move my mouse. Okay. So we have a few great questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a sec. And actually, you know what, Veronica, you asked two really good questions. I'm going to keep my screen shared for a second here. So Veronica just asked, if you create custom metrics on your summary board, how can you create a daily, weekly, monthly report with those data points? Wow, this is a great question. Unfortunately, at this point in time, this is actually not possible. The only way that you can set up and kind of see reports such as daily, weekly, monthly is actually setting up the report similar to what we just did, right? But then you would actually have to play with the calendar widget in order to be able to actually see the data for whatever increment of time you are looking for. So that is one thing that's very much a requested feature. So I will add you to the docket for that one. Okay, hold on. The garbage truck just came, so I'm going to close my window. 1 second, guys. There we go. All right. Veronica's next question. Are the cohorts the first-time purchaser, or are existing customers included in the first order number in cohorts? Let's actually head over to cohorts. Now, Sonder or Alejandro, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe we are only looking at new customers, given that we are calculating a new customer cost per acquisition and then looking at those new customers over the course of time.
You are correct.
There we go.
Explain it more, Alejandro. You give a good analogy here, or just a good explanation of how it works, how the cohorting works.
Cohorting is just basically a cohort is a group of customers that shares one attribute. So in this case, we're grouping customers by month. So in this case, because cohorts mainly are looked at through a month, we're just saying all the new customers that came in each specific month. So we're giving you the months on the far left, and we're saying these are all the new customers that came in May 2022. This is what it costs on average to acquire them, and that is the average repurchase rate of the customers of that cohort. And all we're doing is tracking the development of that specific group of customers. So mainly their repurchasing behavior. And that's it. We're not mixing in customers that bought in the month before, the month after. We're just seeing in this line here. So from first order all the way to month 12 for May, we're just seeing how those customers are behaving and how much they're purchasing again and again and again.
There we go.
Yeah,
and just
that's pretty much it.
To add a second layer here, because that was great. When we're looking at these specific boxes, right? Each box that is going to share some sort of data point is, attached to whatever metric we're looking at right here. So right now we're looking at the sales. So in May, it was just under 20K, right? That was made up of 395 customers. So this is your cohort total at this point, right? We then have the repurchase rate month over month. And then we have that LTV maturation, which we always want to look at cumulatively. So I hope that answers your question, Veronica. Cool. All right. I see Kenny has a great question. Okay. If I want to know daily break-even point for ROAS, CPA, MER, revenue, could my custom metrics be used? If so, what are the formulas for those?
Break-even points for ROAS.
I mean, that's probably, Kenny, what I would be using. That contribution margin is probably what I would be using to understand my break-even point. So MER is just a function of, right, how much you're investing and adds to your total revenue. So, but as far as like ROAS and CPA go and revenue, that's kind of what contribution margin gets you to. Because we're already tracking ROAS, we're already tracking CPA, we're tracking MER, we're tracking revenue, right? So, yeah, I guess for daily break-even point, that's honestly what I like to use as contribution margin. That kind of lets me know what I can spend. Now, like I said, it's going to come down to your business and if you're optimizing for growth or profitability. So if you're going more growth focused, then you're probably going to have a negative contribution. If you're focused more on profit, then obviously you want your contribution margin per new customer order to be positive. There's also another variable, which is returning customer revenue versus new customer revenue. So if you have, a high amount of returning or existing customer revenue, then you can probably afford, going negative on new customer contribution margin. So that's more or less, I guess, how I would be thinking about it. And it really comes down to, I guess, what like specific question you're trying to answer with these metrics and that break-even point.
Yeah, to add on top of that, what I typically like to ask brands when it gets confusing with ROAS, MER, and all these things. That's why I like to look at CPA, because CPA directly answers that question of, hey, how much did I pay for this new customer, and setting that break even based on the CPA. So knowing based on your business and your contribution margin how much you can afford, and then letting that be your break even. That's a very direct, either on target, above or below.
So do we want to look at that blended CPA, or would we want to look at CPA broken down per platform? Like what's better?
I'd say new customer CPA. But I mean, if you go on the pixel, it'd be the new customer CPA on the pixel. But if you were to look at it on the summary page, I'd say the end CPA, because the blended, just like when you're looking at ROAS, blended could hide the fact that you're actually not making money on new customers.
It's within customer mix. Yeah, there we go. And CPA.
Cool. Yeah. So that would be my stop loss or my break even metric.
Yeah, I don't really like blended CPA, to be honest, unless you're, there was one brand that I did an audit for over the last few weeks, and 90% of their revenue comes from existing customers, and they do a lot of like boosted posts on Facebook. So for them, like a blended CPA makes sense because they're a large brand in the country they're in, and do a really good job of, lack of a better term, I guess, saturating or getting in front of the market there. And so for them, a blended CPA makes sense. But if your goal is new customer acquisition, then I probably wouldn't use blended CPA at all. And then more look at that new customer revenue and returning customer revenue as the benchmarks. So
Very cool. Okay.
Agreed.
Oh. All right. Hold on. I don't know what just happened to my screen. All right. We have Jeff said, can you use Alan for cohorts example? If they are all new, then why do the numbers change when you look at newbies, etc.? We can take a look. Let me set my screen up here. Hold on. It's admin. I think it's Alan 3, if I'm not mistaken. No, Alan Corp 2. Just kidding. I was very close. Okay. Let's take a look. See. Sure. Okay. Cohorts. All right. We have the past 365 days set up, right? Oh, and I just reset it up. Oops. Okay. Now, Jeff, if they're all new, then why do the numbers change when you look at newbies, etc.? What do you mean by that, Jeff? I'm not sure what you mean.
yeah, the numbers shouldn't change unless you're looking at partial months of data.
Mm-hmm. So right now I am looking at partial months.
Maybe it's the CDP.
Oh yeah, the customer segments.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, the newbies customer. There we go. Yeah. If they're all new, then why do the numbers change when you look at newbies?
Because it's a function of whatever is in that specific SCDP. So maybe go to that audience size, Raquel, where we can see all customer.
3,570.
Yeah.
This is also an AI created one.
Yeah. So you can see there's only 3,500 customers out of, at the very top, 157,000 customers. So it's a very, very, very small segment. So yeah, go back into the cohorts. So that's exactly why things are changing. Where all customers here is going to show us all customers by the month they became new customers, right? And then if we're going newbies now, we're taking a very, very small segment. So if you do that, yeah, perfect. No, newbies isn't. No, I mean, I don't actually know what is the definition on the newbies. I can look on my end so you don't have to keep going back and forth.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the newbies isn't populating on this account. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't actually pay too much attention to the newbies segment. I think, this is going to capture all of that in here. So I would more just look at all customers, and we know those are going to be all new customers. Now, this is going to be in that newbie segment. These are all the new customers by this specific segment. So I think as like a learning, any segment you choose here is very, very much going to be skewed because it's still taking your total ad spend divided by your cohort here. So you can see, we're taking our total ad spend, dividing that by 55 and getting, an NCPA cost of almost $5,600. So yeah.
It's wild.
So yeah, it's not like a dynamic ad spend, and how similar to what we have in our beta on product analytics. So we might have something like that in the future. I would assume as you change different cohorts here. But yeah, I would primarily use all customers. You could explore, like, I do like to look at this, like, all customers from Facebook, all customers from Google, like more looking at my acquisition sources, to see, what that looks like. But yeah, I wouldn't put a ton of weight into, the newbie audience is just really, really small.
So we would want to set this up if we're trying to look based on platforms. We're going to want to look based on performed in action, or we want to look at certain characteristics. No. Hold
Yeah,
on.
do performed in action, and then there you go. Clicked
on an ad. Okay.
Then just do greater than 0.
Okay.
Then
where
is where you'll do it.
Source equals. There we go.
So I would actually do, Raquel, do is in.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this will let you add multiple. So this is just pulling directly from any UTMs that our pixel has seen.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So maybe do Facebook paid.
This guy, Facebook paid.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't think we'd want to do these two, right? Because then we're going to have Twitter and Pinterest kind of looped in. There we go. Okay, cool. One thing I have found is there, and I think this is great feedback for our team, there seems to be a lot of confusion about our AI segments. So one thing to note here is that when it comes to these segments, there is no specific calculation that is being done across the board. Now, what that means, though, because I know that sounds a little funny, right? Like, what do you mean there's no calculation? What we're essentially doing is we've created these different segments, right? And then we're calculating them every other day for your customers specifically. So no one's segments across the board are ever going to look the same because they are so personalized. And that's kind of the plus of being able to use AI. Kind of the minus is you don't have that full understanding of, like what's the exact calculation. But if you do hover over each one of these AI segments, you will get a definition. So we're looking right now, core is the highly engaged customers who have bought most recently, most often, and have generated the most revenue, right? So that's going to look different across the board. So I hope that, I think, Veronica, you asked a question about that. So hope that clears things up. Okay, just looking through the chat. Jeff, yes, your segments are confusing. Love that I can see it. Not sure how to interpret. I hear that. Okay.
I can also cover it on our next call if you want, Jeff. Or we can go into more detail now. Whatever works best.
Okay. There's also, Jeff, and I don't know, Sandra, if this is what you're referring to when you just said that, but can you explain the sales cycle? Is that the question that you just responded to? Or the comment in the chat?
Yes, for segments.
Sandra, are you there?
Oh, sorry. I thought it was a question for Jeff. Sorry.
No, it's a question for you.
Oh, sorry.
No, all is good.
Question again.
Do you want to, should I answer this question?
Yeah,
can
we
you
can
explain
do
the sales cycle?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go into it. So can you explain the sales cycle for the past year for Alan and tell me what is showing? Do we want to go into cohorts?
No, I'd go to actual sales cycle.
Oh, that's what you meant. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then, click on the last 12 months. So what this is telling us is how frequently customers who have repeat bought, what that sales cycle looks like. So we can see between first and second order here for Alan is almost 120 days, which obviously lines up really well with their filter subscription. And so that's, probably why it's at, right around that 120 days, that 6-month mark. Or I guess that would be 4 months, huh? So Yeah, it's probably somewhere between 3 and 6 months is where we're getting an average here, I would assume. So that 90 and 180 days. And then we can see here the time between the second and third order, and then the third and fourth order. So 87 days and 63 days. So it does get shorter. That could be a number of different things. So this is where you could potentially look at segmenting by the products that people are buying. So maybe do like the Breeze Smart 75i. And let's see. I thought this one had data. I believe it does. So cool. So yeah, so now we can look at the sales cycle of someone who bought this specific product. So we can see here now 98 days, 76 days, and 68 days. Where if we wanted to, let's say, and we could look at, if we wanted to, for example, we could create SCDP audience of all of the air purifiers, right? For example, and then we could see of all air purifiers, what does that time decay look at? And then we could look at filters, right? So we could then create a segment that's all of the filters. And then that's where we could analyze the data here. So that's how I like to use this. I like to use this as more of a benchmark for your lifecycle marketing. So email marketing, SMS, more or less, yeah, that side of the business, and say, all right, how can we go from 98 days down to 90 days, right? Because then we're positively like impacting our business that way.
There we go. So Veronica asked a question. Does this include recharge data? I'm actually not sure of the answer to that.
If they're on a legacy recharge, it probably won't. If the revenue is running through Shopify, then it should include it.
Are you certain on that answer, Sonder?
I would say 80% sure. So
okay,
we can dig in a little bit more on that. That's my understanding, though, on the repeat purchase analysis. Since we're pulling this from Shopify, it's not, I guess, like a pixel tracking issue. It's coming directly from Shopify. So my understanding is any of the data that is being pushed natively into Shopify and into those customer profiles there, we're pulling it from there. But if they're on the legacy recharge, then that doesn't get pushed to Shopify.
Interesting. Okay, so Veronica, you might be SOL. Do you think it would work? And I don't know if you know the answer to this, but if someone is importing recharge data, would that be something that would then be applied here? Or because it's not like directly into Shopify, it's not here? You heard him saying?
Ask it another way.
If a customer imports recharge data, does Shopify take that in as its own data, allowing us to play with that data here? Or because it's imported, Shopify kind of looks at it as other and we can't touch that data?
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I've never uploaded from recharge and like mapped that process.
Okay. So Veronica, I will look into it. Okay. So we are almost at time. I see that there's still a little bit of chatter in the chat. This is your opportunity. If there are any other last minute questions, now is your chance, as we have, time is a ticking. I'll give it a minute. All right. As I type away, can we talk with Sonder tomorrow? Sonder, Jeff wants to speak to you.
Okay. I think we have we've got a meeting, so we're good.
Okay. Is it for tomorrow?
I actually don't see it for tomorrow.
Jeff says you are.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. It's at 11 o'clock apparently. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. It seems like the questions have faded for the day. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming, for asking your questions, for being curious, for really trying to bring more value to your businesses through Triple Whale. So we really appreciate it. Thank you to my amazing co-hosts who just, I learned so much from all of the time. So I appreciate the two of you. And thank you, everyone. Just a reminder, we are here in this exact same place every Tuesday. So feel absolutely free to join us in the future. Ask your questions, bring your brains, maybe a notepad to take some notes. And yeah, we're here. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you, Raquel.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
I'm glad I could make you laugh, Alejandro.
Always.
All right. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.
Bye.